So inevitably, anytime I react to anything extreme or remotely out of the ordinary, there is a recommendation, there is a suggestion, there's a question. Like, hey, Crate, do you know about New Jack? Now, I've been avoiding this rabbit hole because if you know, you know. But today, I've decided to open Pandora's box. We're here. We're checking out the most violent wrestler of all kind. You can use context clues. You know what we're looking at. I don't think 14 minutes is enough. We're going to be checking it out today. If you guys would like to support the original uploader of the content, click the top link in the description. If you want to react to content with us live on Twitch, click the bottom link in the description. I don't tell you guys when I'm live, so you just gotta guess. You gotta hope you find me. You might catch me. Maybe, maybe not. If you're a youngin', you gotta get your ass out of here. We don't let the youngins react with us. Why? I use colorful language. I don't want to say something that gets you in trouble. I'm not responsible for you. You're not my kid. Get out of here. Scram. If the algorithm brought you here with me, it's time. I gotta babysit you. So here we go. If you guys are ready, if you're on your lunch break, if you're sitting there bored, you're like, oh, I need someone to hang out with. I'm hanging out with you for at least 14 minutes. So here we go. Court had to start the video now. All right, I'm ready. Ah, shit. Okay, well, you see, I'm glad we waited till after the first minute. Because YouTube would have probably chilled play up the shit out of me for showing someone just getting hit in the head. No context. Alrighty, here we go. With the bullet in your dome, I'm hot like lava. You got a problem, I got a problem solver, and his name is Revolver. It's like a deadly game of freeze tag. Oh my goodness. Holy sh. So we're just this is the cold open. These people getting fucking cooked. Not that, and see several falls from very high up already. I seen someone get staple gun to the fucking forehead. What's going on, Will? Yeah, no Jack is. I need content. This is the first 24 seconds, by the way. This is the first 24 seconds, so. Ah, shit. Okay.
In a profession supposedly.
There's no way you put the warning for mature audiences after that. You put it after that. Wait, flip that, please. Some little kid's like, who is the most violent Westerner of all time? Is it Drew McIntyre? And they click it and they just see someone get fucking stapled in the face. You gotta flip that, bro.
Full of tough guys and badasses, there is one man who is feared immensely by fans as well as colleagues throughout his 25-year-plus career. A man who's known for being just as vicious in the ring as he is out of the ring. A man who is known for constantly taking things way too far. A man who has legitimately tried to kill his opponent in the ring on several occasions. A man who loved cocaine and cutting people more than he loved most.
Like, okay. If you are the first person, right? If you're the first person to ever book New Jack, and then you see like he bugs out like how he does. This footage is available. People can find this. How does the second person go, oh yeah, we need this guy? Yeah. How does the second person that's doing booking go, oh yeah. Oh, the cokehead that stabs people and elbow drops oh yeah, he's gonna dump you off the balcony? Yeah. We'll give you 500 to show what? I don't even want to be in the same arena as this guy. There is malice. If you guys have ever seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and you've seen the menacing kanji or whatever that is that floats, I don't need to put any effect. You can see it floating around there right now. This is an aura of villainy. He has 5 kids? Hey, they like that shit. This is the guy they tell you not to worry about. When they say they like the bad boys, they talk about this. They talk about this motherfucker. I wouldn't even want to deal with any woman he's been with. I wouldn't want to be with any woman that he's been with, because he might show up one day and be like, yo, I don't want no confrontation. I'm scared to click play again. I'm stalling because I'm scared. I don't know what's coming next. We saw so much in the first 24 seconds. I'm scared.
Things in life. A man whose name is synonymous with controversy. The notorious, the ultra-violent, the downright sick and twisted New Jack. But there were legit reasons as to why New Jack was such a disturbed individual. New Jack was born as Jerome Young in North Carolina in 1963 and had a very turbulent and rough childhood. His dad was an alcoholic and his mom was a serial cheater, so this caused the two to butt heads often, most of the time with it being physical, with young Jerome there to witness it all. Things got so bad in fact that when Jerome was 5 years old, his dad found out that his mom was cheating on him again, and his dad stabbed her 5 times right.
Okay. So off rip, we can see some damaging stuff going on in the past. Yeah, kids definitely internalize shit like that without even noticing. Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, stabbing the mobs 5 times in front of him is like, huh? Well,
in front of little Jerome, which is absolutely insane. Luckily, Jerome's mom survived this, but just 5 months after this, when his mom was trying to leave his dad for good, his dad shot her in the back of the leg as she tried to leave while she was
I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. Wait.
holding young Jerome. Luckily, she survived again, and just a few months later, Jerome's dad passed away from a heart attack. Seeing all of this dysfunction in his family was very detrimental to the young Jerome, and New Jack has stated that the trauma that he experienced in those formative years of his life was the reason as to why he became such a supremely violent individual later on in life. As Jerome grew up, he was often in trouble, but when he was 15 years old, he committed his first armed robbery with his mom's gun at his local convenience store. The habit didn't stop there though, because him and his friends began to rob local stores, gas stations, sporting goods stores, and jewelry stores. This continued for about 3 years.
Oh, hell no.
This sort of lifestyle caught up with him, and when he was 18 years old, he and his friends got caught and convicted for armed robbery, in which Jerome spent 2 years in prison from the time he was 18 years old to the time he was 20 years old. After Jerome got out of prison, he worked briefly as a truck driver, and then he spent the next decade as a bounty hunter. For those who don't know what a bounty hunter
Yo, what the fuck? My man's got a CDL and was a truck driver and was like, yo, fuck it, we hunting fellas down. What? Could you imagine? Could you imagine being a criminal and New Jack of all people busts in and just whoops your ass and brings you in? And then years later, you find some random dingy ECW DVD or something. It's like, yo, I know that guy. Yo, I know that guy. He's real. This shit is, all of this is real.
It's someone who catches wanted criminals for the police for compensation. This job is not for everyone though, because it requires putting yourself in dangerous situations that could potentially kill you. And so by extension, it's a job for hardened, bad motherfuckers. But New Jack was that guy. There's even a rumor that New Jack actually killed about 4 people in his bounty hunter days, but he later denied this on camera. But then again, why would he admit to killing somebody while being on film? He was mainly in bounty hunting for the money, as the money was pretty good.
That's a little crazy.
And in his chase for money, it brought him to his next venture in his life, the big, bad world of professional wrestling. When Jerome was around 30 years old, he started to train to become a professional wrestler, and when he was watching the movie New Jack City, he liked it so much
he started
that he
at 30?
appropriated the name New Jack and used it as his wrestler name. But when he had just started, New Jack wasn't quite the New Jack we know.
That movie is a banger if you haven't seen it.
2 years after he debuted, and that was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which was owned and run by the infamous Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette, however, had a prompt for New
my man Corny, hold on. My man Corny. Top 5. That man is shit talker Skywalker for real.
New Jack and his tag team partner, Mustafa Saeed, who were called the Gangsters, and that was to act as racist as possible to white people, and New Jack happily obliged. He took this to the next level in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, as he was constantly dissing and roasting the all-white crowd for being white. This was very significant because this was a time in America where racial tensions were extremely high, as it was around the time around the O.J. Simpson murder trial and the brutal beating of Rodney King by the police. New Jack made sure to work these real-life tense racial tensions into his act by praising O.J. Simpson and recreating the Rodney King beating with a white wrestler. And so because racial tension was so high at this time, New Jack and his partner Mustafa Saeed would constantly be called the N-word by the crowd at every single show. This bothered him, but he ultimately got used to it and he dug his heels into this gimmick even further. New Jack clearly didn't give a f**k, and the more he was racist toward the white people, the more they were racist toward him. It was
that some of the strongest gimmicks come from like bringing a little bit of realism into it. I think there are definitely topics or like things that seem a little bit too performative for it to work. Like, what was the one that they did recently? The retribution thing or whatever, where they were like, they were like doing the Antifa thing. That was a little weird. That felt weird to me. But shit like this, where like you're using like shit going on in the culture, and just kind of doubling down on being wild with it. I definitely feel like that can get you over as a heel or whatever the fuck. Like if you're trying to get them eyes on you, he did it the right way. He fucked around and found out.
It was like a vicious cycle, but this vicious cycle was working as New Jack's name got bigger and bigger, and eventually in 1995, he got an offer to wrestle for Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, of which he accepted. And in ECW, he found his home as their style of wrestling was right up his alley. He was already known for crossing the boundaries in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but in ECW, he cranked that up several notches, while WWE was a much more...
That's such a cool visual. Coming out with like a fucking bin full of random ass weapons, that's a fire visual for the entrance. I like that.
Safer, more palatable style of wrestling. ECW was WWE's bastard cousin, who was a darn troublemaker. ECW was a brand of wrestling that was grittier, edgier, bloodier than anything seen in wrestling at that time. It was a promotion that prided itself on going too far, and New Jack was notorious for going too far, so he fit right in. In ECW, New Jack solidified himself as a hardcore legend.
How strong you got it,
He was incredibly intense, and his demeanor.
How strong was this motherfucker to pick up a damn?
With me because I will cut you.
To pick up a damn shopping cart.
In the hardcore sense, and was even the first wrestler to start using a staple gun in matches. He was entertaining and charismatic in a sick and twisted way. He was known for his bombastic promos and for taking spectacular bumps and diving from outrageously high heights constantly. He was the epitome of blood and guts, and he blurred the line between
All right. We're not just gonna. I hope you're wearing a cut. Right? And then a New Jack jumps around like he got hit in the nuts. He's like, oh shit. Oh, the shits. Oh shit. I wonder if, you had to, in ECW, I imagine, you had to kind of talk it over with whoever you're wrestling. Like, yeah, I'm fine with this spot or whatever. But I wonder if, like, there were guys who would get in the ring with him and, like, just be feeding body parts, whatever. Like, oh, you got me. He might be going for a rest hold. And then, bam, staple gun to your fucking noggin. Let's, like, Jesus.
Between working and shooting so much so that he often overstepped the boundaries of wrestling and crossed into borderline actual assault. When New Jack was in ECW, this is where the drug problem that dogged him throughout the rest of his life started. New Jack would notoriously always snort coke before his matches, and that enabled him to jump off of very high structures.
Anybody that ever knew me knew I snorted coke before my matches. How in the fuck you think I was going up 30 feet and diving off shit?
New Jack was so addicted to coke that he would spend about $5,000 a month on this bad habit. But this wasn't his only drug of choice, as he even popped 4 tabs of acid one time just before a match. He might be...
That is so dangerous, Bako. That is wild. No, man. No. See, no. Yo. And such a fucking... I don't even know what to call this shit. Let's see, like it. And something like fucking wrestling where you have to trust that your partner in the ring is not gonna fucking, like, maim you. You have a guy who is coked up doing acid and all that shit right before the he's not there. He just reverts to base instincts, base violence. Oh my god. I would be scared to be near bro in the locker room. Like, yo, are we letting this happen, bro? Oh, nah.
Asking yourself, why? Well, because it's New Jack, and he does whatever the fuck he wants to do. All of this seems really awesome on the surface, but New Jack was a deeply troubled man, and that's what caused him to overstep boundaries from time to time. He had a dark side, and this dark side provoked the violent and dangerous monster within him. When this dark side came out, New Jack became lost in his character, and he would seek to cause very serious and sometimes even fatal harm to his opponents in the ring. And the first time New Jack's demons really came to show was in the mass transit incident. In 1996 at an
Aw, shit. We got the mass transit incident. Aw, shit. Here we go. He told Paul at one point, I'm jumping off shit till you get me.
ECW show, the Gangsters were scheduled to face off against Axel Rotten and Devon Dudley, but sadly, Axel Rotten couldn't make it, and his replacement was a wrestler called Mass Transit. It turns out Mass Transit, real name Eric Koulos, was a minor, being 17 years old at the time the match took place, but instead he told Paul Heyman, the creator and owner of ECW, that he was 22 years old and had a couple of years of wrestling experience, and that he was trained by wrestling legend Killer Kowalski. When in reality, he wasn't trained by Kowalski and only had a couple of matches under his belt and knew absolutely nothing about hardcore wrestling. Paul Heyman inserted him into the match to be Axel Rotten's replacement on a false pretense. The giddy adolescent then naively went into the locker room and started barking requests at New Jack to do in the match.
Oh, no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think we know what comes next, fellas.
And this was a huge mistake because in wrestling, it's tradition for newbies to just shut the f up and listen. And so New Jack was really pissed off about it. He refused all of Koulos' requests except one. Koulos asked New Jack to make him bleed, and New Jack happily obliged.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, my man only heard one of those requests. He was like, yeah? I could do that very well. Ah, shit.
In wrestling, to get blood in a match, wrestlers usually use a razor blade to their forehead. New Jack wasn't going to blade him with a razor blade. Instead, he had a surgical scalpel. And with New Jack being pissed off at Eric Koulos, high on coke, and New Jack just being New Jack, he had to take this too far. And in the ring, New Jack cut Mass Transit's forehead so deeply that blood was literally squirting out of his head. The cut was so deep that it cut 2 of his arteries and caused him to get 50 stitches.
Man.
They savagely attacked me. They crucified me in front of 1,000 people. I have no feeling from here to here. I have like an indentation in my head from where all the nerves died.
Basically, New Jack went to town on his forehead. The show ended up getting cancelled as medics had to attend to Eric Koulos, and a couple of months later, Koulos and his family pressed charges for assault and battery against New Jack. But
see, he had no business putting himself in that situation and lying about his age and all that. Firstly, at least I feel like he brought that upon himself. And I don't know if he knew of New Jack beforehand, but in that space, like, I don't know if he saw him going hard in a match or something. Was like, yeah, I want to be part of that. No, sit your ass down. Sit your little ass down, youngin'. You see what I mean? He brought it upon himself for real. Did they throw the case out because of, like, the lie? I feel like this motherfucker definitely lied, first of all. False pretenses for sure.
Because it was found out that he lied to get himself into the match, New Jack was acquitted and dodged jail time, just narrowly. Koulos' family then tried to sue New Jack in a civil lawsuit, but then just a few years later, Eric Koulos died after complications during gastric bypass surgery. This incident was initially harmful to New Jack's career, but eventually added to his growing legend of savagery. His name was growing bigger and bigger, and fans were expecting him to do crazier and crazier things, and New Jack was more than happy to do that. He was constantly upping the ante, and on one night this all caught up with him as he had a match with Vic Grimes. In this match, they were supposed to...
Uh-oh. I remember this one too. Is this the first one where like they do that big spill and he definitely lands like on New Jack's head or something like that? That New Jack tries to kill him in the later match? Is that... I vaguely recall something like that.
Both dive off a high scaffold onto tables. But at the last second, live on pay-per-view, while they were on the scaffold, Vic Grimes chickened out and said he can't do it. This really pissed New Jack off, and he resorted to literally pulling Vic Grimes off of the scaffold with him and onto the table. This, however, did not end well because Vic Grimes landed right on New Jack's...
Oh my goodness. Holy, yo. New Jack literally got all of that. This looked fucking insane. Like, it looked like Grimes was about to be fucking spiked. That didn't... Oh, he did not get what he wanted out of that, dude. Oh, shit.
Right on New Jack's head, and this caused New Jack to get a fractured skull, brain damage, permanent blindness in his right eye, and a broken leg. He recovered in the hospital for many months.
But I mean, New Jack did it to himself, though. Like, he did it to himself, though. He got just... Devil's advocate, hi, how are you? He did that to himself.
After this tragic incident, but he never fully recovered because for the rest of his life, he would be plagued by chronic headaches and insomnia. But on the bright side, at least he didn't die. After New Jack had recovered as much as he could, he returned back to ECW. And a year after the incident, there was a rematch scheduled between New Jack and Vic Grimes, but New Jack had revenge on his mind. This is mainly because Vic Grimes did not apologize to him or even check up on him in the hospital in the months after the incident.
Alright, let me ask you guys. Let's do the interactive Dora the Explorer part. Do you think Grimes had to apologize to New Jack? I think so too.
They were scheduled to wrestle in an even more dangerous match, with there being a spot from a scaffold that was 40 feet above the ring with 12 tables below. So it was guaranteed to be extreme, but knowing New Jack, especially with revenge on his mind, he had to be more than extreme. On the day of the match, New Jack went and bought a stun gun, and while high as on coke and on top of the 40-foot scaffold, New Jack tased Vic without it being agreed to beforehand, and then he...
Oh, that's not even cells. That's not even cells. So you gotta die for this shit. He said no, but knowing it's New Jack, yes. He should stay sober me right now. Why did you chicken out of the spot, Goofy? Alright, so this isn't even be like this isn't cells. You're literally being tased this high up. My heart would be in my ass. My heart would be in my ass. The second he pulled out the taser, I would be like, oh no. I'm going to die. I'm dead.
Coke. And on top of the 40-foot scaffold, New Jack tased Vic without it being agreed to beforehand. And then he threw Vic off the 40-foot scaffold with the legitimate intention to kill him.
Joe. That is so gnarly, man. That is so gnarly. Hits tables, right? Hits tables on the way down. Bounces off those fucking ropes. Yo. Look at how fucking high they were, dude. Oh, that is gnarly, man. It sounds painful for my chair. I wouldn't be the chair. I'd be getting fucking tased. The fit. I'd be doomed. Yeah, that. Oh, shit.
Legitimate intention to kill him.
I want him to land on a post, the turnbuckle post. I was hoping that he landed head first on top of that post. I wanted him to die. I ain't got no love for Vic.
Luckily and amazingly, Vic crash landed onto the ropes and into the ring.
Jeez.
What's crazy about this situation is that if New Jack just threw Vic a little harder, then he would have for sure been dead. The only injury that Vic walked away from this match was a dislocated ankle and a couple of scratches. After this incident,
Only a dislocated ankle. Do you know how fucking lucky you have to be? Do you know how much fucking luck this guy walks with? What? Bitch. Oh my god. First of all, if I would have got hit by the damn tase, I would have burst in the flames. That would have been the end of me. Like, the taser.
and in 2001, unfortunately, ECW declared bankruptcy and had to shut down. This really sucked because ECW was New Jack and New Jack was ECW. They were later acquired by WWE, but WWE didn't want to go anywhere near New Jack, despite his massive name value in wrestling. WWE considered his immense drug problems, his tendency to go too far, and the backlash, bad publicity, and potential lawsuits that they would have received if they had signed him.
That's a crazy what if situation too, right? Like, what if there was a WWE New Jack run? It's wild though, because WWE did have some superstars that they weren't afraid to like put in like hardcore matches. Well, at least WWE's brand of like hardcore matches, right? But there's a timeline where we had Edge versus New Jack, right? Or like fucking Mick Foley versus New Jack in WWE, or like fucking that. They had some of the demons there. I have mixed feelings ever being friends with New Jack. On one hand, if you were on good terms, you'd be ride or die. On the other hand, if you were on bad terms, but I hope you're fine. He will find you though. Like that. Like, I feel like New Jack has the energy of like an evil stand user in JoJo's. Like, my man will definitely pop up doing the pose, most likely with a fork in hand, and you know what time.
So they ultimately decided to shut the door in his face. So this left New Jack to the independent scene, where there was money but substantially less. But New Jack was still New Jack, and his thirst for violence was never quite satisfied. And this brought him to his next victim, opponent, Gypsy Joe, who was 72 years old.
Well, I remember this one too. This is a pretty viral video as well. Now, you know your ass had no business being wrestling in the indies, Mr. Gypsy Joe. I don't want to see you do not a damn thing. I don't want to see you do not a damn thing. And you really go, yeah, I could wrestle with the new cat. I could wrestle with new.
Old at the time of their match. On the day of the match between the two, Gypsy Joe came up to New Jack and he said he could teach him a few things, and Jack saw this as condescending and got pissed off about it. In the match, Joe, as per his gimmick as the man who could feel no pain, was no-selling New Jack's offense, and this
Yo, no selling a person like New Jack is, oh, you're on a timer, dude. You're on a timer, dude. Look. Oh, you're on a timer. No. Joe, no!
raised the already high on coke New Jack. This caused him to legitimately start beating the ever-living shit out of this poor old man. He was hitting him with chairs, a baseball bat, and was absolutely brutalizing him.
God! Joe, all right, I need you to take in, right? We have the action, right? New Jack is demolishing this guy. But look at the crowd, though. Look at the fucking concern on the crowd's faces. Pete, just how, like, everyone is like, yo, what is going on?
He was hitting him with chairs, a baseball bat, and was
They're trying to get the fuck out of here, man. They're trying to get the fuck out of here. No one is sitting anymore. No one is sitting. No, like, what are we watching right now? But fuck, yo. This is our old man pretending he doesn't get hurt. And New Jack just like, yo, we're, all right, I'm gonna show you something. Oh my goodness. Is a fictional cocaine bear, yes. A real life bear, not so much. Calling New Jack a cocaine bear, I don't see the New Jack fella's gonna get y'all in the comments. I didn't say it. That was on the stream chat. You guys saw it. What was your favorite New Jack match? That's my favorite too.
Absolutely brutalizing him in a savage manner. It was clearly a lopsided fight. The crowd started to hurl racial insults at New Jack, and the more they did that, the more enraged he got and the more he beat up Gypsy Joe. This was
Yo, this is not a wrestling match, dude. So they just started hitting him with the slurs and getting the old man beat up even more. That's crazy. I feel like Gypsy Joe should have deaf been like, please, please, please stop, y'all stop. Hey man, don't say nothing. Please stop. Don't call of that. Do not call of that.
supposed to be a wrestling match, but it crossed over into straight up assault. The match ended with this assault, and the two never spoke again after this. But New Jack was still hungry for blood. About a year after this incident, he was scheduled to have a match against a wrestler called Hunter Red, and prior to this match, he tried to have a talk with Hunter Red in order for them to be on the same page with regards to the match. But Red was dismissive of him, and this pissed New Jack off.
Alright. I feel like we as like wrestling fans, we know so much about like New Jack's temperament and whatnot. And maybe a lot of it is like hindsight is 2020 or like, you know, we've heard through the grapevine. But I feel like if you're a wrestler in the same space as this guy, you know better. You know fucking better. Don't do that. Don't get on his bad side. If you're trusting your fucking body with this, man. Jesus Christ, man.
Immensely. It should be common knowledge at this point that it's not a good idea to piss New Jack off for a match. As the match started, Hunter Red started to hit New Jack with stiff punches, and this enraged the high on cocaine New Jack even more. So then New Jack proceeded to whip out a knife from his pants and
Oh my God. Oh my God. You have no idea this is coming. You have no idea this is coming. Also, this is like the first fucking YouTube video I've seen when they just did not work. I guess we're gonna get fucking hit with some shit. Cool, cool. This is why we don't go down this rabbit hole, but you sitting here getting ready to sell like a fucking rest hold or something and you just feel a knife jabbing into you repeatedly? Yeah. Look at the crowd size. So this is happening to you in like a recreational center or some shit. Oh my God.
out a knife from his pants and stabbed Hunter Red about 9 times, around the head, neck, and upper body. New Jack was notorious for going too far, but this was on a different level. This time there was no escaping the fact that he blatantly stabbed a man 9 times, with many witnesses there. Naturally and unsurprisingly, he was charged with felony charges such as aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated assault to commit murder. In simple, New Jack was in big trouble and was facing up to 15 years in prison for his actions. But his situation actually turned around, because while New Jack was behind bars, Hunter Red went to see him and he said he'd drop the charges against him if he agreed to train him and do a tour of wrestling matches against him.
What kind of twist? Bitch, it's full what? I did not know that. What's that, ow? Alright, I think you have the coolest Twitch username I've ever seen. Probably was Doom Ninja Samurai Master. That is godlike.
Around the Florida circuit. New Jack agreed to this and Red dropped the charges. He was then released, but then on the very same day he walked out as a free man, he left Florida, never to speak to Hunter Red ever again. Now that's pretty savage. New Jack continued wrestling throughout the years, and he was always in the spotlight for the wrong reasons, like getting into backstage fights and legitimately hurting his opponents. But his body was giving out on him, so he was constantly going in and out of retirement for the rest of his career. The years of taking outrageous and dangerous bumps and heavy drug usage had caught up to him, and he was deteriorating in real time. New Jack's heart was especially pretty bad, and he had to change his lifestyle because of the years of damage he did to his heart with heavy cocaine usage. New Jack was laying off the drugs, but he had to take prescribed painkillers to help him with the pain from various injuries he had sustained throughout his career. And on one day, when New Jack was walking home from a wrestling event, he collapsed and was taken to the hospital, and doctors found blood clots throughout his legs, back and lungs. The end was pretty near for New Jack, and towards the end of his life, he was still an active wrestler, but he wasn't always available as he couldn't accept all bookings because he was in very poor health and was often bedridden due to his heart problems and his failing eyesight. And on March 14, 2021, New Jack died of a heart attack in his North Carolina home at the age of 58. And that is the story of the most violent and dangerous wrestler of all.
I think there's so much that goes into a person like New Jack that it's really hard to, encapsulate everything in like a 14-minute video, but I think they did a great job of like letting you know, right? They put some knowledge out there. They even had some footage that I was never able to see, like this outright, like the stabbing, but sheesh, Ran. I mean, hearing that the childhood was as rough as it was, I can definitely see how it plays into like his temperament, but man, some of this shit is like, what? This motherfucker is a hardcore legend through and through. I'm not intimidated by many people, right? I got that thing on me. I keep that thing in my purse. But I'd have to give him the gun if he approached me. I'd have to give him the purse with the gun. Oh, you got it, sir. Sorry, sir. Oh my God. Yeah, rest in peace, the New Jack. Bringing him back with the Dragon Balls is crazy. If you guys like to check out the original upload of this content, please click the top link in the description. If you want to react to content with us live on Twitch, you know where to find that one. I'm not going to tell you. Come on, think about it. What was your favorite part of the New Jack video? It's my favorite part too.